the strange aftermath. Hannibal won too perfectly. Now comes the irony. After a victory this immense, you would expect the war to be over. Rome had been shattered, its manpower had been savaged, its political class had taken devastating losses. Its prestige had suffered one of the worst blows in its history. And yet Hannibal did not win the war at Cannae. That is one of the great paradoxes of military history. Cannae may be the most famous tactical victory ever won against Rome. It still did not produce immediate strategic collapse. Later tradition preserves the famous line that Hannibal knew how to win victories but not how to use them. Whatever the exact truth of that anecdote, the deeper point remains. A perfect battlefield triumph did not automatically destroy the state behind the defeated army. Why not? Because Rome, for all its losses, was politically tougher than most enemies. Instead of breaking, it adapted. It returned to Fabian methods. It avoided giving Hannibal another battle on this scale. It absorbed the shock, rebuilt, and refused to let one day, however terrible, decide the war. That is what makes Cannae even more powerful as a story. It is a masterpiece of tactical destruction, and a warning about the limits of tactical destruction. You can annihilate an army and still fail to annihilate the system that raised it. Victory on the field is not always victory in the war. Hannibal proved the highest level of battlefield command. Rome proved the endurance of a state that would not die. Why the battle still feels modern. The more you think about Cannae, the less remote it feels. A commander studies an enemy's instincts. He shapes the ground. He invites an overreaction. He presents weakness. He turns local success into entrapment. He compresses a stronger force until that force loses the ability to function. That could describe an ancient battlefield. It could also describe a lecture in a modern war college. One of the enduring lessons of Cannae is that visibility is not always a disadvantage. A commander does not need to hide everything if he understands how the enemy will interpret what he sees. He relied on false meaning. Ancient casualty numbers can become numbingly large: 50,000, 60,000, 70,000. At that scale, the mind begins to blur them. That is why the battle remains relevant. Cannae is not simply remembered. It is reused, the human scale of the horror. Before ending, it is worth stepping back from abstraction and returning to flesh. Ancient casualty numbers can become numbingly large: 50,000, 60,000, 70,000. At that scale, the mind begins to blur them. This was not a quick collapse into easy surrender. It was the prolonged destruction of men who increasingly understood that no escape corridor was opening and no reformed line was coming tomorrow. This was not a quick collapse into easy surrender. It was the prolonged destruction of men who increasingly understood that no escape corridor was opening and no reformed line was coming tomorrow. Infantry trapped with nowhere to break out, nowhere to regroup, nowhere to run. This was not a quick collapse into easy surrender. It was the prolonged destruction of men who increasingly understood that no escape corridor was opening and no reformed line was coming tomorrow. At Cannae, the bend in Hannibal's center was not collapse. It was invitation, and Rome accepted it with both hands. Hannibal's trap was elegant in conception. Inside it, the experience was anything but elegant. It was suffocation by battlefield design. The final meaning of Cannae. So what was Cannae really? It was Hannibal's masterpiece, but reducing it to a neat pincer movement misses what makes it truly extraordinary. Cannae was not just geometry. It was timing. It was troop quality. It was battlefield preparation. It was enemy psychology. It was command discipline under extreme pressure. Many armies have imagined encircling an enemy. Very few have done it against a force as large, aggressive, and determined as the Roman army at Cannae. And even today, the lesson is not simply imitate Hannibal's formation. The deeper lesson is this: understand what your enemy expects to see, then build the battle around that expectation. That is why Cannae still feels alive. Not because ancient warfare is quaint, because the logic is permanent. A commander who can shape perception does not merely respond to events, he authors them. Final outro paragraph. Cannae endures because it feels almost impossible. A smaller army bending without breaking, a stronger army attacking exactly where it should not, and a battlefield arranged so perfectly that Roman momentum turned into Roman annihilation. That is why generals still study the battle. That is why historians keep returning to it. That is why the name Cannae still lands with such force. Some battles are remembered for heroism, some for scale, some for political consequence. Hannibal did not merely win at Cannae. He showed that the highest form of command is not just defeating an enemy in combat, but shaping the enemy's choices until defeat becomes almost unavoidable. That is why the battle is still studied, and that is why, more than 2,000 years later, the trap still closes in the imagination. If you want more battles where strategy mattered more than numbers, subscribe and stay for the next one. Hannibal did not merely win at Cannae. He showed that the highest form of command is not just defeating an enemy in combat, but shaping the enemy's choices until defeat becomes almost unavoidable. Final outro paragraph. Cannae endures because it feels almost impossible. A smaller army bending without breaking, a stronger army attacking exactly where it should not, and a battlefield arranged so perfectly that Roman momentum turned into Roman annihilation. If you want more battles where strategy mattered more than numbers, subscribe and stay for the next one.